So I told you earlier, I probably would have just been very excited if LSU would have gone into this past week, going into Houston, playing Rice, Texas, ULL, Texas State, if they would have come out of it 3-1. Now, you knew, I knew, your mama knew, everybody knew that they had the potential to go 4-0 in this stretch in the Houston Classic. But what we learned coming out of this weekend, I think, is the biggest thing of the early season, clearly. Because on Friday night against Texas, who I still think is a really good team, even though they blew a lead against Vanderbilt, didn't look good against, I think it was Texas State the first game, or maybe they played Texas State. I forget who they also played, but I knew, remember they gave up the big 8-run inning or 5 or 7-run inning against Vandy to blow that lead. Bottom line is this team and what we even started to see on Wednesday. So we talked about the game Wednesday against Rice, how Brady Neal came out, looked really good. Kate Anderson absolutely dominated the young freshman on the road. Second start, kind of a little like, hey, man, early season, does he get a jitters on the road? How does that work out? And he looked good. The team at the plate looked good. And then you go into Friday, which, guys, I got to admit, we talked about this over the last 2 weeks, and it was very apparent early that this was going to have to happen. Luke Holman might be one of the best pitchers in the country, and him being on this stage and platform. Now, he was at Alabama, and it's not as if that Alabama wouldn't get the platform it maybe would have deserved in college baseball, but LSU is a different beast and a different animal. You know what's interesting? If I put Paul Skeens' stats for the first 3 starts of his LSU career versus Luke Holman, and I just put a blind test up, guys, they got about the same number of innings, around the same number of strikeouts, around the same number of walks. The only difference is that Skeens gave up 1 more run and Luke Holman hasn't. Now, the level of competition, early season, did a guy, things are completely different. But the storyline coming out of LSU right now, yes, they're doing a lot of things at the plate. We got to talk about Bear Jones. It has to be Luke Holman. The dominance that he had. Like, I look at Friday night, anything you could do, I can do better in the first couple of innings with Johnson and Holman going at it. But the first inning, he strikes out the side, and that's how LSU gets all 3 of their outs. Does have runners on, but it doesn't matter. Holman comes into the second. Boom, boom, boom. He gets 1, 2, 3 in a K, gets a K in there as well. He goes into the third. He gets another 2 strikeouts. He gets a bloop single, which in the left field, which really was the only couple of hits that he gave up, was 2 bloops in the left field. It's the only thing that he gave up remotely that was even worth anything was guys getting jammed and blooping it to the opposite field, the lefty, just basically getting fisted and pushing the ball the other way. That's all that Luke Holman happened. Same thing happened to Gage Jump that we'll talk about too against ULL. But he goes into the fourth, 1, 2, 3, getting multiple Ks, 2 Ks in that inning as well. You go into the bottom of the fifth. He does the same exact thing, getting 2 strikeouts against Texas until he was pulled in the 7th for Ackenhausen. But you go, or in the 6th, where he's pulled for Ackenhausen after he gets his 12th strikeout. Guys, 5 2/3, what probably should have been 6 strong innings of work. Luke Holman dominated. And he's dominated all year. The fact that you have this level and caliber of guy on Friday night, which we have and you have been saying as well, is going to be your ace. It gets you – honestly, this weekend, again, I get that it's early, and I might be overreacting. Was Jay honest in the dynasty that he's building here? Because, guys, at what point do you start saying, now, you got a long way to go. Let's see how SEC plays out. I'm starting to ask the question because, guys, they're dominating. Luke Holman's dominating everybody. Like, that's a Texas team. This isn't like, by the way, it's going to be a team that's going to be in your conference next year. And they went out there and dominated Vandy pitching. It's not like they couldn't hit. It's not like they didn't have success. They dominated another SEC team's pitching. Man, this team is really good. You go even into Saturday. So me and my wife go out to eat. Game comes on. We are leaving when the game comes on. We go to the bowling alley. That's what they wanted to do. The game is on the TV in there. We're sitting there watching it. Okay. Had to get him to put it on YouTube. And I got to tell you, man, Gage Jump had the same type of performance for me. The only hit giving up another little bloop in the infield that Braswell can't get to, which, by the way, chill out on Braswell. I think it's funny. How do I want to say this? It's very funny to me that the two people that have gotten the most criticism in baseball and in football, really, I don't want to say Braswell's like Thompson because Thompson got it a lot. But it's interesting to me who people get mad at. Jaden Daniels, 2022, Jordan Thompson, 2023. Now it's Braswell. Like, it's always so interesting to me, like, what people are constantly bitching about. But Gage Jump on Saturday, man, was as electric as you're going to get. And by the way, he's only going to get better, in my opinion. Gage Jumps, and I get that it's ULL. Gage Jump's performance gets you to a place where you have to ask the question, is there another or a better potential 1-2 punch on Friday and Saturday than them? Then you throw in potentially a Cade Anderson, a Thatcher Hurd. How does that play itself out? Now you're to a place where, guys, you might, by the way, Javen Coleman gave you silent innings last night. This staff, this pitching staff is ridiculously talented. I know that Nate Ackenhausen, gave up a home run. Nate Ackenhausen comes into the 7th. He gives up a home run, strikes out the next 3. He comes into the 8th, strikes out the first 2, gets a ground ball to Braswell, which he made a great play on. He goes into the 9th. He has a little bit of issues, okay? I mean, I guess you could just say it is what it is. You always got to come in and close it. But bottom freaking line, from top to bottom, this is clearly and easily the best stat that Jay Johnson's had here. And what's nuts about this, what's wild about this, is Skeens and Floyd were first-round dudes. I think it's obviously because of just how good these two guys have looked in the beginning. Like, Ty Floyd didn't look like this in the beginning of the year. Hell, he didn't look like this during the SEC. I mean, it wasn't until later in the season that he had times where he was dominating. Pitching can get you and is going to get you a long way. Now, to the side of being at the plate, I think that you and I need to have a very serious conversation about Bear Jones and where this is going for him. You know, the beginning part, which is probably the thing that we should have given him, or at least, and I will admit where I'm wrong, maybe should have given him more time defensively. Guys, he's demolishing baseballs. And when you are a guy like Bear Jones, who's picking it up defensively, hitting the ball a ton, the strikeouts and the stuff that he does not bother me. Because, guys, he is going to hit probably 20, 25 home runs this year. He's going to drive in a shitload of runs, and he's going to continue to dominate while probably hitting around 3 to 320 at the high end. Maybe if he stays hot, he can be in that 340 range. He has been one of the best at the plate. Now, he has some bad moments, and so does everybody else. And guys, you hit 3 hits out of 10 at bats, you're considered an all-star. Oh, shit, you're considered a Hall of Famer. The bottom line is, I think that he's seeing the ball well. Even the home run that he had on Friday night and hitting an Oppo Taco, that's how you know a guy's seeing the ball well. When a strong, powerful hitter like him takes a fastball on the outside half, he puts a beautiful swing on it, he takes it to the opposite side and hits a bomb off of it. It opens him up, too, on how teams might want to play him as well, which could be a massive, massive thing. Look, I think Travinsky, just doesn't have the home run totals maybe that he would want in the beginning of the year. So what? I mean, he drives in 2 runs the other night, okay? Braswell brings in a couple. I know he's hitting below 300. But look, man, you're getting a lot of clutch hitting and a lot of really good hitting. I like Paxton Kling in the one hole. I do want him to possibly get a little bit better on taking a little bit better swings. Because like I think he struck out 3 times this weekend, 2 that we tracked. That of the 2 strikeouts he had, he swung at all 3 pitches, all of them outside of the strike zone. Like, hey man, I know that you want to do things. I know hitting the ball and getting hits and it propels you. But man, if they're gonna put you on first, the speed that you have on first, you gotta just take it. And look, man, that's a lot what Dylan Cruz did. Dylan did not get pitched a lot to last year, hardly at all. But the way that I look at this is, I think that you are very complete. I don't think that, like last year you had Skeens, and where Skeens like, hey man, Friday night, it's almost a given sometimes that you're going to probably win. And what you do at the plate, you don't have to be as stressed because you have 20 on the mound that will get you through these things. Now, I just think you're so complete. I don't know, and we're obviously seeing it's going to be a long year. The question that I pose in all of this is, are you more of a complete team than you were a year ago? And if you are, that team that you saw last year, one of arguably the best team in the last 20 years, is this LSU baseball team. Just how good can you be? All right. One last thing before we get to Carter, the Power Bryant. This weekend, I could make the argument that this weekend was a lot like what you would see in a regional. Like, basically, you just sweat the regional weekend. Texas, ULL, who, by the way, I have been looking forward to playing them again. I have taken and seen too much shit from the Rudy Poos at ULL. I'm glad that we put little brother in their place. Look, I wish this could be a bigger rivalry than it is. It won't be. You're too little, but it is what it is. Glad that we got that win. But you basically in March, you had a regional weekend where you swept it, and you look good doing it. You look really good doing it. All right.